just going through a marriage breakup is difficult on its own, and then lose my job 8 months later, then COVID hits, and then I nearly die from the dog attack. It was just, my head was just like, Hi, I'm Marv. I'm from Bexley in Kent. My current handicap is 11.2. I've been down to 6. And I'm here to talk about life and golf. I'd like to think I'm a kind of a happy-go-lucky kind of guy. I wear my heart on my sleeve. I love my golf. I love my sport, as you can probably tell. I went from playing twice a week, got down to 6. I now play once a month if I'm lucky, and I play off 11 at the moment, which I'm more than happy with. I just get out there with the lads or with friends or just 2 of us, and it's just my time. So me and my wife, we split up. We have 3 beautiful children, 3 young children, and we broke up. There was no one else. We just fizzled apart, and we put a lot of focus into our children, and we effectively kind of forgot about each other. I then kind of left the family home. I'm back at my parents', which is only effectively 10, 12 doors up the road from the old family home, which at the time was quite difficult for the first couple of years. And then in that same year, I then lost my job as a creative. I'm a graphic designer by trade, and I kind of lost my way a bit and didn't know my head from my arse effectively. And then I got a job as a learning to do video animation, and then COVID hit. I remember it vividly. I think it was a summer, and I laid in my mum and dad's back garden, and I could hear my 3 kids playing in the back garden on a house at the time I was paying half the mortgage on, and my brain just went, "This ain't right." I lost my way for a couple of years. I thought I was a bad dad, and I then wasn't seeing him every day, and that was quite hard for me to adjust. And then looking out the bedroom window and effectively curtain twitching, hearing the car go past and seeing them go to school, that was hard. Little things like that were kind of just twisting that knife. I just went into a really dark place, kind of just under this huge rock, and my brain just said, I'm never going to see my kids again. I think it was a year later, we all went out to watch my eldest boy play football, and over on the right hand side was a guy with like a 10-stone American bulldog, this huge dog, and it was on a pole. And my youngest, he was 7 at the time, I think, and he's a tiny little thing. He said to me, "Daddy, can I go and say hello to the dog?" And I said, "Absolutely, you can say hello to the dog." And he went to say hello to the dog, and before I knew it, I turned around and the dog had grabbed him by the arm, pulled him down by the sleeve. I ran over, and he'd thankfully rolled away. So I kind of jumped in, stood him up, stripped his clothes off. He was shaking like a leaf, and I just made sure that he was fine, and he was. And I called my ex over, and I said this had happened, and they kind of walked off. And before I knew it, I was then on my knees at eye level with this dog, and it literally looked at me and ripped half my face off. This is kind of probably the most traumatic thing that's hopefully will ever happen to me. It literally clawed me all the way down the side of my face, then it pulled me back, and it locked its jaw under my eye socket and 3 millimeters above my jugular, and it bit me here, and I pulled away. And I bled a lot, and I remember it to this day. I looked down, and it was almost like it was slow motion, and I turned around and I see my ex-wife quite hysterical and screaming, and then I see all the parents, and I can see it in slow motion, and I've got an awful memory, but I'll never forget this. They all literally turned around and looked at me at the same time, and I swear at the same time, every single one of them pulled out a mobile, and that was my brain saying, they're calling for an ambulance. I had 38 stitches, a black eye, and it was horrific. It was absolutely traumatic. Just going through a marriage breakup is difficult on its own, but to kind of just have that and then lose my job 8 months later, then COVID hits, and then I nearly die from the dog attack. It was just, my head was just like, So then I spoke to friends, and a friend of mine said to me, he said, you need to go to the doctors. And I did. I wasn't going to, because I was kind of like a proud man. I can't be doing that. And I did, and I broke down in the doctors. But I think like the me time is really important. And the me time is I try and get out on the golf course when I can. I love my golf. I love my running. And for me, it's just that is my time. Especially with the golf, I just get out there with the lads or with friends or just two of us, and it's just my time where I almost forget about my kids for 5 hours, and I mean that in the nicest respect, because I love my kids. But you get out there, and I just kind of forget about everything. I still have that family unit. It's just a different family unit. We have a joint calendar. We have Christmases together. We have birthdays together. If people say to me, look, do you really want to sit at the Christmas table with your ex-in-laws and your ex-wife? And probably not, if I'm being brutally honest. But do I want to sit at the table with my 3 beautiful children that can see daddy with them, with mummy, and that we get on and we share the Christmas presents, we share it all? Yes, I do, 100%. And that's really important to me. And I think I can hold my head up high for that. If, hand on heart, if me telling this story helps one person get out the crap that they're going through, then I'll die a happy man, that I know that my story has helped someone. When you're walking through Treacle, you just don't ever think you're going to get out of that Treacle at the time. And what you don't want to hear is people saying, you'll be fine, you'll get through it, you'll get out of that Treacle, because you're just going through that moment at the time. But you do effectively get out of that Treacle. I think happiness is a journey and not a destination. I think some people think that happiness is like the perfect job, or I've got the perfect car, or I'm earning X amount, and that's it. Well, for me, it's not. For me, it's seeing my kids. There's happiness along the whole of my journey. There's sadness, obviously, and I'm not going to get teared up, because every time I talk about my kids, they mean the world to me. But they do. I wasn't gonna cry. I'm okay. It's just my kids mean the world to me, and everything I'm doing, and I'm doing it for my kids.